Hello and welcome to the Lazy Podcast. This is episode 6. Welcome back. It's been a minute. It's been about a month since the last episode. Today we have a couple of things to talk about. First of all, we have the big TikTok ban. India bans TikTok. After that, we are going to talk about YouTube changing the mid-roll rules from 10 minutes to 8 minutes. And of course we have Canon's 2 new cameras which they have been blowing up lately. So let's go. Right, first story we have from techcrunch.com. So India bans TikTok, dozens of other Chinese apps. So the whole thing is about Chinese apps and the Chinese government. So the Indian government on Monday evening said it was banning 59 apps developed by Chinese firms over concerns that these apps were engaging in activities that threatened national security and the defense of India, which ultimately impinges upon the sovereignty and integrity of India. In what is the latest standoff between the world's 2 most populated nations, of course India and China. Among the apps that India's Ministry of Electronics and IT has ordered to ban include ByteDance's TikTok, of course, which counts India as its biggest overseas market. So after China, India is TikTok's biggest market. Community and video call apps from Xiaomi, of course Xiaomi, big corporation from China, which is a top smartphone vendor in India. So Xiaomi is also the top smartphone vendor in India, and I imagine this will complicate their business a lot. 2 of Alibaba Group's apps, UC Browser and UC News. Sherit, CM Browser, Club Factory, which claims to be India's 3rd largest e-commerce firm, and ES File Explorer. So all of these are Chinese apps that the Indian government has banned. This is the first time that India, the world's 2nd largest internet market with nearly half of its 1.3 billion population online, so half of India's population is online, has ordered to ban so many foreign apps. New Delhi said nation's computer emergency response team had received many representations from citizens regarding security of data and breach of privacy, impacting upon public order issues. The compilation of these data is mining and profiling by elements hostile to national security and defense of India. Basically what this means is they are using your data to sell ads or all kinds of things, and yes, that might be true, but I think this is true for all social media. This is true for Facebook, this is true for Twitter, this is true for YouTube, for Google, all of those. An analyst at research firm Counterpoint said the order would impact roughly 1 in 3 smartphone users in India. TikTok, Club Factory, and UC Browser and other apps put together had more than 500 million monthly active users in May. So this is a huge demographic, and this is a lot of people that they are losing. According to one of the top mobile insight firms, 27 of these apps were among the top 1,000 Android apps in India last month, according to the Mobile Insight firm, data of which an industry executive shared with TechCrunch, of course. It's unclear what exactly the ban means and how mobile operating system makers and internet service providers are expected to comply. At the time of publishing this, all these formulation apps were available to download from Google Play Store and App Store, the Apple's App Store, of course. Google said it had yet to receive the order from New Delhi. Apple said it was reviewing the order, so I don't know if Google and Apple have any power over this, which I doubt they do, because of course they, as a business themselves, Google and Apple want to keep working in India, and I don't think they want to go against the Indian government. So also new Delhi said it had received many complaints from various sources, including several reports about misuse of some mobile apps available on Android and iOS platforms for stealing and strangely transmitting users' data in unauthorized manner to servers which have locations outside of India. So this is their problem. I would assume that this data is going outside of India. Monday evening announcement. It's the latest standoff between the two neighboring nations following a deadly clash at the border earlier this month that stoked historical tensions. In recent weeks, custom officials at major Indian ports and airports have halted clearances of industrial consignments coming from China. So this is more than to do with tech and with data. So this is a political move as well from India, I would imagine. I think they just want to send a message. I don't know if they will go through with it or if something will change, because I would imagine all these Chinese apps or the Chinese government itself will try to maybe make another deal with these people, because as I said, earlier, it's about 500 million people, I think they said. So yeah, they had 500 million people in May. So it's a lot of people that they're losing, just like that. So Chinese smartphone makers command more than 80% of the smartphone market in India. So this is even huger, which is the world's second largest for SoftBank-backed TikTok, which has more than 200 million monthly active users in India. So of those 500 million monthly users that we saw earlier, 200 of those are just from TikTok alone. New Delhi's move is its latest headache. The Chinese firm has also faced scrutiny in Europe and the United States in recent quarters. So after these, of course, a lot of other countries are thinking about this, because no one wants their data sold, even though everyone knows that all the apps do that. And when you click accept on the terms of service, you basically give away all your data. TikTok has been facing backlash in India since the second half of May after users unearthed and shared numerous recent TikTok videos on Twitter that appear to promote domestic violence, animal cruelty, racism, child abuse, and objectification of women. Many in India rushed to leave a poor rating of the TikTok app in the Google Play Store to express their disgust, and the Android maker had to intervene and delete millions of comments. Oh, wow. So I see. So they deleted millions of comments just to try and give the app some sort of good rating on Google Play. Days later, an app called the Remove China Apps gained popularity among some of Indians. Google pulled the app later from Play Store. So as we know, Google wants TikTok to be in India, and Google as a business itself gets their percentage from all the apps that you download, from Google Store and the Play Store, whatever it's called. In April, India amended its foreign direct investment policy to require all neighboring nations, including China, with which it shares boundary, to seek approval from New Delhi for the future investment in India. The nation's Department of Promotion and Industry and Internal Trade said it was taking the measure to curb the opportunistic takeover of Indian firms that are grappling with challenges due to the coronavirus crisis. When the TikTok app was blocked in India for a week last year, ByteDance had said in a court filing that it was losing more than $500,000 a day in the nation. In a statement on Tuesday local time, TikTok said that it was working to comply with New Delhi's order. So as I said, they want to try and may do something about this, and I do think that this is more like a political trying to apply pressure to TikTok and to China, to the Chinese government itself. It's really interesting to see how this is going to continue, because I read somewhere as well that the US also warns about using TikTok and all of that. And there's a few European countries as well. I think it was the Netherlands and Belgium that they don't like this. And in my opinion, TikTok is really strange because it has grown a lot, and of course, whatever grows quickly will attract attention. But there's a lot of users on TikTok, and the Chinese government will have to do something about it, because it's a huge market. And as I said, India is the second biggest market, outside of China. They have something like 1.3 billion users, as it's said on this article as well. So yeah, I don't know how I feel about this. I know that all of social media, whatever you use, whenever you go online, you get your data collected, and of course no one ever will read the terms of service that every app offers. And I don't know how I feel about this. Like, does it really matter if a Chinese government, the Chinese companies taking your data, or Google or Facebook, or I don't know. You get your data used and collected by someone somewhere. The minute you decided to go online, this is basically a no-brainer. So I don't know why people are complaining a lot about India. I'm sure if you go through their terms of service, they will say that they will sell ads to you, because, as we've said, I've said it on this channel before, and I've said it many times in more videos, that if it's free, it means that you are the product. I know it sounds like like some sort of crazy person, but if it's free, it means that you are the product, and that's how it is, because that's how these companies make money. That's how Google makes money. That's how YouTube, which is owned by Google. That's how TikTok. That's how Facebook. They collect your data. They see what you like seeing, and then they try to sell different ads based on your needs, and that's their whole business model. Because otherwise you would have to pay for it, and the fact that you don't have to pay for it, it means that they are gonna have to make money some other way, and this is the way they sell your personal data to whoever pays more, and then they create personalized ads, and that's how the internet works. Right, enough about TikTok. We have said already a lot. Again, as I said, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a huge deal to me, because you get your data collected by someone. So I saw a tweet about from Ninja as well. He said he's decided to delete TikTok and all of that. And I don't know how that's different from YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or any other online service. Right, so moving on, we have YouTube changing. So YouTube's adding more ads with mid-roll breaks available in shorter videos. This is very, very interesting, because as we know, if you wanted more ads into your videos, you had to make a 10 minutes or more video to have the so-called mid-rolls. So now they're bringing that 10-minute mark down to 8 minutes, which is very, very strange, because you see a lot of YouTubers make a video like 10:01 or 10 minutes and 2 seconds, or you see a lot of people dragging their videos to 10 minutes just because they want to have their mid-rolls, and it does make a huge difference in your ad revenue, that I have noticed myself as well. Of course, these podcasts, if they get views, they tend to make more money than an average like 6-7 minute video, which is what I usually make videos on that, like that time frame. But I I think again, as long as your content doesn't suffer, I don't see any problem with stretching your videos and trying to make the best for yourself. I don't see any problem with that. So moving on, this is an article by socialmediatoday.com. The reason for that is YouTube's monetization policy. Currently, YouTube enables mid-roll ads 10 minutes, blah, blah, blah. That also at times probably means that some have stretched her. Yeah, like I said. YouTube announced and updated its monetization policy, which will mean that videos of 8 minutes in length instead of 10 will now be eligible for mid-roll ads. Starting in late July, videos that are longer than 8 minutes will be eligible for mid-roll ads. As part of this change, mid-roll ads will be turned on for all eligible existing videos and future video uploads, including those videos where you may have previously opted out of mid-roll ads. So this is very strange, because you can choose how many ads you want, how many mid-roll ads you want on your videos. And this means that even if you wanted just one, then YouTube will go on a previous video that you may have uploaded like 2 years ago, and then they will say, oh, you know what, add more on that. Videos that already have mid-roll ads turned on will not be impacted. Okay. So shorter videos will now be eligible for monetization, which is a good outcome for creators, of course, and likely a minimally annoying change for viewers. So this will be probably a little more annoying for viewers, because that means that people will have more ads in smaller videos, which again is no problem. For me, it's never been a problem, because if I'm watching someone, it's usually I want to support them as well, and this is for a viewer, this is the easiest. Like I've always thought about this as in this way. Like this is for a viewer, this is the easiest way to support a creator if you cannot afford, like donating, or like PayPal or whatever they do, like all those like monthly donation things. And this is an easier way if you just watch 1 or 2 ads in the beginning, and then you're watching and you also have supported someone that you like. And I do that because I usually have an ad block on, but I do that when I'm watching like all the subscribers, the creators that I personally have subscribed to. I usually watch them without an ad block, because as I said, this is the cheapest way for me as a viewer to support them. Creators will still be able to switch them off if they choose, so nothing changes there, and or adjust the automatic placement of any such ads, so you can still switch them off or choose where you want to put them, but the push here is clearly to get more ads into YouTube, boosting ad inventory and increasing YouTube's revenue, which it makes sense. YouTube is a business. But expansion of overall ad load here, when you consider that some 30,000 hours of content is uploaded at the platform every hour. Wow, that is huge. I didn't know that. 30,000 hours of content. So why is YouTube making this move now then? As reported earlier this year by 10, advertising rates on YouTube have dropped by nearly 50% since the beginning of February, despite viewership increasing during the COVID-19 lockdown. Wow. As per 10, data from the Interactive Advertising Bureau and advertising industry body suggest that 1 of 4 media buyers and brands have paused all advertising for the first half of 2020, and further 46% have adjusted their spending downwards, which makes sense. A lot of businesses had to close, and a lot of people had, they had to let a lot of people go, and it's in general been, a very strange time. Fewer advertisers means less dollars overall flowing through YouTube's network, which means the subsequent revenue stream then trickling through to creators is also drying up due to the shutdowns worldwide. By increasing its ad load, YouTube is likely looking to supplement those losses, and keep not only its own revenue intake going, but also that of creators who it needs to stick around to keep bringing viewers back. So finally YouTube is doing something good for creators, because usually they don't. So I think overall, I think this is a good move, because as I said, there's going to be more ads for YouTube as a business, and there's going to be more ads on creators' videos, and YouTube needs creators, because otherwise they cannot have videos. And you know, it's like a chain of events. Increasing the amount of ads will likely help, but then again, more ad space overall will also bring down the prices of YouTube ads. Okay, so while creators might be getting a cut of more ads, if the overall price is lower, the two elements may not balance out to a better deal. But YouTube, you'd assume, has done some math in this respect, yeah, and providing more ad space will likely help creators generate more income, addressing concerns around significant reductions in their intake. For advertisers, that means more opportunity to reach more people on YouTube, and for consumers, as noted, pushing ad breaks into shorter videos is probably not overly interruptive, given they're used to the same on slightly longer clips anyway. So it's not a huge like from 10-minute to 8-minute video, it's not a huge change in my opinion. But it's an interesting change nonetheless, and could eventually lead to higher revenue potential for more YouTube creators. Once things go back to normal, that is, we'll see if YouTube will actually stick with this. As the article said, they probably have done the math and they probably know better, but they might change this again, because they have done things before and changed, so you never know. Overall, a good thing, I think. I haven't noticed any difference in my revenue lately, but my revenue is very, very low anyway, so I don't think small creators like me will see a difference. But yeah, so moving on, we have something very, very interesting, and I have seen a lot of videos about this. This is Canon's two new mirrorless cameras on the EOS R line. So we have the Canon EOS R5 and EOS R6. So they're both full frame mirrorless cameras. Especially the R5 is to replace the Canon 5D Mark series. So they're professional photography line, and of course they're going mirrorless, and they are trying to push this R bodies for a few years now. They had the Canon EOS R, and they had the RP as well, and of course now the R5 and R6. So if we see the specifications here, this is a Canon EOS R5, 45 megapixel resolution. That is great. 20 frames per second on photography, so you can do 20 pictures in a second basically. 8K full frame internal raw video. I mean, this is crazy. In 24, 25, 30p 12-bit raw video that looks as good as real life. I mean, this is advertising here, but 8K full frame raw, who would have thought that a camera so small would be able to do that? There have been some reports that the camera does overheat a lot, which I think is to be expected, and I don't think you can expect to record 8K for like an hour straight or something, because it's 8K and it's a tiny body. So full frame 4K 120p video, which is amazing. 4K 120p and no crop, that is great. Up to 8 stops of image stabilization. ISO from 100 to 51,200, which is great. Built-in Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, okay. 5,940,000 autofocus points. And another very interesting thing is 2 card slots, so we can have a CF Express and an SD card slot. Again, this is a professional mirrorless camera, right? This is not a prosumer, this is not a beginner camera, this is a very expensive professional camera. That's why you see so many features. This is great camera, and the body, so the body is a little bigger than the EOS R. I was thinking of getting the EOS RP for a while, which costs around 12 to 15 or 1500 or something like that. In the end, I never actually, made the change because, the quality is not such an issue for me. I'm using a prosumer camera right now, and it does the job just fine for what I'm doing. So this camera will cost about, I will let you know, because this is available to pre-order right now, which is crazy. This camera costs £4,199.99, so £4,200. This is on Canon's store UK, so canon.co.uk store. This is available to pre-order, as I said, which is ridiculous. I did see Peter McKinnon's videos on these cameras, both the R5 and R6. They were great videos. He always does a great job. But one thing I am concerned about is this R body does not have a lot of lenses as of now, and they are ridiculously expensive. But as I said, this is a professional tool. This is not a beginner tool. This is a professional full frame 45 megapixel camera that shoots 8K RAW and 4K 120 FPS full frame. So this is a professional camera. This is not a toy, as I said. But another thing I noticed on their marketing, and Canon always does this on their marketing, they're never clear on who they're aiming this. Of course, as I said, this is a professional camera, but on like their marketing, the YouTube videos that I saw, they've sponsored a lot of YouTubers as well. They didn't really it wasn't a clear marketing campaign, like this is a professional tool and that's it, like super clear. Like for example, like Sony, I talked about this, I made about a video about this about a month ago, about the new Sony's camera, that was aimed at vloggers and all of that. That was super effective campaign. They had given the camera to a lot of people, and all the videos went up at the same day, and it was such a clear campaign because they wanted it, to give it to vloggers and YouTubers. Canon does not really know where to aim this camera. I mean, I know it's a professional camera and that's what they're trying to do as well, but they are also trying to bring in new people, which I doubt you can do when a camera costs £4,200. You cannot really bring in new people. And they also shoot themselves on the foot all the time, because they give you everything and then they hold something back as well. For example, this is a great tool, but the 8K thing that they focused so much on is not really usable. I know Peter McKinnon said, it's good, it's great, it's amazing, but it's not really usable. And if we think about this, no one is gonna buy this camera and shoot 8K video. The only reason you would shoot 8K is if you were doing a documentary series or if you were doing a movie, and no one is gonna buy this camera to do a movie. So I'm very curious to see as if this camera will sell well. As I said, this is this is aimed at replacing the 5D Mark series, which is their professional photography lineup. But yeah, this is very expensive. It's a great tool, but again, Canon and their marketing is so confusing all the time. They don't know who to aim this at. It's like they are trying to aim it to the professionals, but then they are also scared that their professionals will not buy into this, because as I said, there isn't a great lens lineup, and at the moment if you buy this camera, you will probably have to use a lot of EF lenses, and to use EF lenses you need the adapter, which of course they are selling for like £200 or something. But I don't know, it's so confusing. And if we go on the R6, Canon EOS R6 specs, just because it's very interesting. This is also available to pre-order. So this is a Canon EOS R6 mirrorless camera, £2,500 if you just want the body, and 2,850 if you want an RF 24-200 f4 lens. f4 lens. One thing I did not mention on the R5, it does have in-body image stabilization, which is great, which means you don't need a gimbal or anything. So the R6 now, if you go to the R6, is details, very interesting. Slightly less expensive, about half of the R5, but still very, very expensive. And this does, you know, full frame, 20 megapixels, 8 stops in body image stabilization, 20 FPS, 4K 60 frames per second, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, blah blah blah, all of that. It does have all of that. So you do not have in-body image stabilization here, and you do not have 8K, of course, and you do not have 4K 120p. So as I said, again, with Canon's crippling marketing, and they're just removing features, and them not knowing, in not being clear at who they are aiming this. So it's not as a problem for me on the R5, because the R5 is a professional tool, and 8K, 4K full frame, 120p, it's more clear than this one, because this one is a £2,500 camera, which is ridiculous, and it's a very expensive camera. And they also give you 4K, but not 120, because that's what they do. This is a fuck you in the face, basically saying you will have 4K but not 120p, and there's absolutely no reason why you wouldn't have 4K 120 in this camera. Obviously we know that the reason is so you buy the R5, and it doesn't have 45 megapixels like the R5 does, and you do not get the two cards on this one as well, you know, the CF Express and the SD card. And apart from that, there isn't a difference really. No difference at all. Yeah, it's just crazy how I mean, there's a few differences on the body, but it's just crazy how Canon cripples their cameras and basically forces you to buy one over the other. Again, I don't know who this camera is aimed at, because at 2,500 cameras, 2,500 pounds, excuse me, there is a lot more cameras that you can get, and with a lot more features. This does have a lot of features as well, but you do not get the 4K 120, and I do not see why you wouldn't get the 4K 120 on this one. You do have 20 megapixels instead of 45. I really don't know who they're targeting with this, because if you want to bring in new people, this is way too expensive, and if you want professionals, a professional will say all the specs, and then we'll see the R5 as well, and be like, if I'm paying this much money, I might as well go for the bigger one, in air quotes, because you do get, you know, those like extra features that if you are a professional photographer or maybe videographer, that you would need, like such as the 2 cards and the 4K 120. Again, Canon's marketing is always confusing, and the lack of lenses for the EOS R series is what makes it even more confusing, because if you want the professionals to come over to switch from their EOS 5D Mark IV or whatever it is, then you need a lot of lenses. You cannot expect people to move from their all of the lenses that they've got and go to a brand new mount and just say, you know what, you can buy this mount extension thing for £200 and you can use all your lenses. And then I would be like, you know what, I can just go and use a 5D Mark IV and not even go on this one. And the 5D Mark IV, how much does the 5D Mark IV cost? It's very 5D Mark IV. It does cost about £2,500. So it is essentially at the same range as the EOS R6. Again, it's very confusing. I don't know who they're targeting this with. As I said, if you want the professionals to come over, you need a lineup of lenses which you don't yet have. So yeah, I'm very curious to see how these both these cameras will perform, because they are exciting cameras. They look very good, and you know, like if you're a professional, of course you would want those. Two concerns, as I said, the lens lineup is not yet like a great lens lineup, and of course the overheating things on the R5 and the price as well. This is a camera that I wouldn't buy these cameras as the R5 or the R6, but that's just the line of work that I'm doing that right now. For example, I don't need that camera, and I don't need 4K 120 or 8K or all of that. But yeah, very interesting to see how these cameras will perform. This is a very long episode. We're already at almost 38 minutes. So thank you very much for listening to this episode. Make sure you leave a comment down below if you have any questions, or what you think about the TikTok ban, or YouTube changing the mid-roll rules, or these cameras. Will you be buying one of these cameras? What do you think? If you have any suggestions on any topics that you want me to cover, and on the next episode of the Lazy Podcast, we might have a guest. I'm not very sure. So a lot of things to look forward. Thank you very much for listening. If you are listening on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, and if you enjoy this content, of course. And if you're listening from Spotify or anyone else, make sure you subscribe and follow wherever you're listening. We are on Spotify, we are on Anchor, we are on Apple Podcasts, we're on Google Podcasts, we're everywhere basically. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you in the next one.